Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. I'm so happy to be a part of the adventure of your lifetime for the next hour. And I got to tell you, your smile is just incredible, Havilah. And I get the opportunity to talk this hour with Havilah Malone. She is a #1 best-selling author. She's an inspirational speaker from New Orleans. I think that's how you say it if you're from there, isn't it? New Orleans? Nolans, yes. Who graduated from college at the ripe old age of 19. So she's a smart girl too, and she's a visionary leader of Proof of What's Possible Inc., which specializes in personal and business development for leaders. Malone has also been featured on. You were on Fox News? Shame on you. CBS, I'm sorry. CBS, the Huffington Post, and a lot more. Havilah attributes most of her success to Napoleon Hill, and I'd like to talk about him a little bit because you're also a certified instructor in his system and stuff. But first of all, I'd like to and also NLP, which we talk about occasionally, but not enough on this show. So we may have to delve into that as well. NLP is neuro-linguistic. Say it for me, please.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
See, there you are. That's why she's the expert, and I'm just sitting here minding my own business. But welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. You definitely have an amazing show that is just a breath of fresh air, and just talking to you is a breath of fresh air. So I'm excited for today.
We're going to have a great deal of fun because you're not only are you doing that, you've also been an actor and you are a producer and you've done all kinds of wonderful things. How did you get started with all this? Did you come out of the womb singing and dancing and ready to shine, or was there a period that you had to learn how to do all that?
I think we come here with some inherent, talents and desires to go into a certain direction, and communication and expression has definitely been an area of draw for me. One, because of some of the challenges that I had to go in and through in my life, and being able to fully communicate and express myself and give myself permission and the freedom to do so, but also being able to be seen and felt and heard in the world, and through media, through the entertainment industry, through speaking on stages, gives very powerful platforms to have that level of self-expression, and if used for the right purposes, can really have a positive impact on the world. So yeah, I feel like I did start, very young. I mean, even in my religious upbringing, like, we were giving public talks on stages in our youth, and out preaching to people. So that was a form of communication that was instilled very young, and now I get to utilize those skill sets in a multitude of different ways that serve my path and purpose in life now.
Now, how did you graduate from college at 19?
So I graduated from high school at 16, and and that really started because I wanted to get out of school, and I knew school was important because it was like, oh, this is something that you have to do. But I was like, how can I get out of here the quickest as possible? So I found out like how many credits I needed to be able to graduate early. And so I went to summer school and took like gyms, and I had no interest in driving, but I went and took my driver's ed test just so I can get the credit that you get, because you get school credit for it. So I just found every way strategically possible to like build up my credits. And plus I was in honors classes, so that gave me additional credits. And then, so here's the thing, you learn what the rules of life are, what this game is, and then you learn how to beat the game. And so when I went to college, I found out how many credits I needed to be able to get out and what was the max number of hours I could take during each semester. So I went continuously back to back. I also talked to guidance counselors and found out that you can test out of courses. So instead of taking the full course, you get to take basically a final exam and still get credit for that class. So I found every class that was a part of my curriculum that I could test out of, and I went and did the test and tested out of it so that I could move along that pace quicker, because I always felt like my real life was on the other side of school. So I was like, how do I get through this as efficiently and quickly as possible so I can get to my real life? So
Well, thank you for doing it the right way, rather
mm,
than a lot of kids today are doing it the wrong way, which is I don't like school. School bothers me. I don't get my freedom. I don't get to do so they quit.
mm,
And quitting is never good.
yeah.
Um, and so look at you and where you've ended up with all the things that you do. Did you realize that you were special, or did you feel special at all?
I felt different. Definitely that. I don't know if I would have called it special, but I definitely felt different. I always felt like I was out of place, like I didn't quite belong. I mean, I can remember as a child laying out on our driveway and just like looking up at the sky and being like, I feel like that's my home. And why am I here? And like, what is it going to take for me to feel like I fit into this existence? And so because the way that I would think or the way I would look at things or just like the reasoning that would go in my head would a lot of times not be in alignment with like conventional thought or wisdom, but I still needed to fit inside of a box, within a family dynamic, within a religious dynamic, within a, societal dynamic, growing up and within school. And so it was really difficult navigating what I was feeling inside and then what I felt like I had to present on the outside. And I felt like that's why I turned to writing when I was younger, and it was a way of self expression onto a page where I didn't feel like I could really say the things that were going on inside of my head because they wouldn't be received well. So I know now that I am very special, but I don't think that that was my thought back then. I felt like I was more of a weirdo.
Well, the interesting thing about that is most of us, and I say it in the opening, most of us reach a point in our life, and some people call it the midlife crisis or the midlife change when you say to yourself, okay, why am I really here now? I've done
Mm,
everything that everybody has told me that I'm supposed to do. I go to school and then I get a job and then I excel at the job and I get bigger and I get better and I get bigger pay and then of course I have to get married and then I have to have a couple of kids and then I have the house and the picket fence and the dog and the cat and everybody else, but you're not happy
mm,
because that's not why you came here.
mm,
What was it about you that because you caught on to that very early in life? What do you think that was? Do you think that was a holdover from um prior to you getting here, the kind of the contract that you put out and you remembered part of it and it felt good for you to be you called yourself a weirdo, but it's be only because you were thinking thoughts that nobody else was thinking at the time.
mhm. It's so funny because all of even my friends at growing up, I always had older friends because those are the conversations and questions that I had, and it was like I felt like people who were older than me could be able to help give me insight into the things that I was thinking and trying to figure out. And I did do all of the I love the book, The Four Agreements, because it really just breaks down how much, everything is this agreement that society has made with each other of this is the type of life you should live. Here's what equals happiness. And so we all, when we say yes to that, then that becomes our confines, but that may not be what's in alignment for you or for your soul. And so I was following a path, and I'm the kind of person that I can look at a puzzle and then, okay, cool. I figure out all the pieces. I know what needs to be done. And then I can like run with it and probably be like 4 or 5 steps ahead. And so it was like I was given the puzzle of what my life was supposed to look like. And so I was like, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. These are all things I'm supposed to do. Great. And then I ran with it. But I was like, I'm living this life. And I'm just like, this isn't making me happy. Yeah, there's moments of joy, there's moments of inspiration, of wonder. However, deep down, my soul is not fulfilled by this path. And so I did the thing, like I got married, been through a divorce, I had the, the house and the great job and like all the shiny things, fit into my, societal box like very beautifully, but I was literally dying inside. And it wasn't until and I had been given glimpses of it's time for you to move on, it's time for you to move forward, but I wouldn't take that step because of fear of the unknown, fear of disappointing, everybody around me who was important to me, fear of rejection, like all of those things. And so I was working in corporate America at the time, and our organization experienced a massive layoff, and that for me was a blessing in disguise. And it was like God, the universe, whatever you want to call that force, that power, it was like, okay, I have been giving you insights to move on, but you won't do it. No problem, because this was only a stop in your journey. This wasn't the end of it. So here, let me just push you out the nest to make you move into this next phase of your life so that you can come into alignment with the healing that you need, so that you get past all the bull, like all the BS, and you get past all the limiting beliefs, and you take this veil off of you so that you realize who and what you really are. And then you really step into the gifts that you have been given and have been cultivating over these years, because you've been using it over here, but I need you to use it over here. And then even once you start using it over here, I'm gonna flip you around and I'm gonna have you use it over here. But you can't stay in this one space for the rest of your life, because you will wither up and die and not fulfill the soul contract you came here into this life for. So it was definitely a big push out of the nest. And then that led me on another path into my life that brought me to like Tony Robbins, that brought me to people who helped me to expand my consciousness and to step into tools and to step into ways of thinking that was like, wait, hold up. First of all, I wasn't weird. Like I was on to something, but I just didn't have the support system around me to help to cultivate that level of thinking and that belief system. And I hadn't done my internal healing work of the traumas and abuses and things that I had gone through in my life. And it was like, let's clean up this internal world first, and then I will give you everything out here. Because all that is really just a reflection of what's going on inside. So let's clean this house first.
Did you find that the experiences that you had, and of course, not all experiences are good. There are
Mhm.
lots of negative experiences we have in life. But did you find that by and large, all the experiences looking back on it made you the person that you are today?
Not even a question. Like, absolutely. I would not wish upon anyone the things, the abuses. I mean, I was sexually molested as a youth. Like, I would not wish that on anyone. And I would not change my path for anything, because all of it was in service of my highest and best good. And the person that I am today is because of the accumulated path that I have walked thus far. And everything that unfolds from this point forward is the accumulation of what will become. And it's all perfect.
Isn't it exciting when you're sitting in where you're sitting today, thinking about all the things that you went through, where you are today, and the endless possibilities of the grand adventure that awaits you in the future?
Oh my God, it's exciting. And I constantly have to, because I have learned about, incorporated into my life the understanding and alignment with the laws of the universe. And I constantly am on my own path of self development, expansion, and understanding where I fit into this, whole scheme of things. And I find that like I manifest things like very quickly now. Like I was always a very powerful manifester. I just didn't realize or connect that I was the one, drawing in this stuff, especially when it was stuff I didn't want. It was like, yeah, you're part of that too. So, but now that I am more consciously aware and intentional with the things that are happening, it's like, okay, cool. Well, you get to, set your intention upon something, align your energy with that, bring that into your physical experience in life from this mental and spiritual form, then it shows up. And so I got to a point where I'm like, okay, so what else is there? So you manifest all these things. Now you have all these experiences, these physical thing. Now what? Like there has to be something deeper. There has to be something more. And so I'm even at that point in my life right now where it's like another tipping point of the deeper work, the what is beyond this. And am I going, because I know that we come back into this life, in various forms over and over again as we're learning these lessons, as we make these soul contracts to come back into this human experience for whatever lessons we came here for. And I'm just like, okay, will this be the last one? Because I'm pretty ready to be done with this. Like, it's really amazing. I really, I feel the groundedness in this human experience. And I'm like, what's beyond this realm? What's beyond this experience? Because I know the role that I play in the unfolding of the events within my life and how I'm here to serve. And what more is there to go into and to experience. And so that's like the place that I'm in my life right now, just really exploring that and figuring out what that might look like.
Well, and I will tell you this is that
Mm,
in this particular place and time in the development of our planet and of our universal consciousness, it's important for people like you to be here
mm,
because you can make changes and you can help others who do not yet recognize the greatness in themselves to be able to make the changes so that they can live their best life. And that's I believe, I've been watching a lot of NDEs lately,
mm,
and which are near death experiences. And people will go to the other side when they are clinically dead here, and they'll get an answer like, "Do you think you did everything that you could to make the planet a better place?"
mm,
And they have to say, "Well, no." And he said, "Well, you can do a better job. Why don't you go back?"
mm.
And every time when they come back, they're changed. They're changed people, they're changed who they are. And because they recognize that this is just a short time,
Yeah.
but it can have such a tremendous impact on the other souls that are here who may not be aware because of their upbringing or the stories that they've told themselves, what great things they can have in store for themselves. And energy comes into that, NLP comes into that, the workings that you do, and also the shining example of the human being that you are. It really is remarkable for me to sit here and talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful perspective and insight, because when you were saying that, it brought me back. So I've had two magic mushroom experiences,
Mhm.
and the one, not this last one, but the one prior to that, the experience I had, the separation of, if you want to call it, the higher self or the soul that comes in and inhabits this physical form, and then the form itself. And in that awareness, I literally remember asking the question, because it was like this remembrance of, oof, I've done this before. Like, I've done this quite a few times. Why do I keep coming back? And I'm choosing to come back. So why is it that I keep coming back? And then later on in the experience, I had grabbed a piece of paper, and all this information, like formulas, all this stuff was like flooding out. And so I'm like capturing it on paper. And then I saw in the paper itself how powerful words are to be able to indelibly carve things into our souls, into our beings. And it was like, it's for you to be able to bring these words to people that help to literally shift their lives. So those things that are coming through that you are now able to connect with, you have to share that and put that out into the world. And so you saying that, like, just literally just reconnected me to that experience and was like a remembrance of, no, you could definitely do more. Like, there's definitely more work for you to do, you know?
Well, and you're a young person and you've got a long, 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 long time left to make the difference that you can. And when we come back, I want to break all of this down because there are people in our I'm sure that there are people in our audience going, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but come here, Doris. I don't get it. Come here. You need to listen to this. See what in the world they're saying. What is energy stuff and stuff. So when to our Southern folk, I apologize. I use that anyway. So we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking with Havilah Malone. She is an extraordinary human being, and she also works with people as well. So if you want to talk to her, she can really, I think, give you some insight as to who you really are and to why you're really here, because we're each here for a unique and dynamic purpose. And I know she knows that to be true. We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. I always play that first because it wakes everybody up. But I want to thank, and first of all, I want to thank Havilah for being here, because you have the ability, and I don't know that you know this yet, and you probably do, but you have the ability to take me back to my roots and make me feel like you're giving me guidance as to why I'm here, because of what you're doing and why you're here. And I feel like my mission is to create a large enough platform so that people can come and listen to you, and that we can have a real dialogue about what was really going on with us and how each of us can live our lives to our best, and who we really are rather than who we might think we are. And so it's great to have you here, because you're so gifted in so many ways. And so thank you.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. It's so funny because even as you were saying that, it connected me. So I know what my mission is in life. Like, it has come to me very clearly, is to be a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. And that is being done in a multitude of ways. And you're even a part of the unfolding of that by doing your mission work to provide this platform where people can be reached, where people can be inspired, touched, just some spark of something that just like turns that light on. Because I'm a firm believer, it's like nobody is actually doing anything for you. They're just providing the space for you to do it for yourself. Like coming in and literally walking into a room and flipping the light on. You have all the tools. You have the ability, like you came here with it. We forget sometimes, but it's all within each of us. But somebody else can come and shine their light and then flip that light on for us. And you're like, wait, hold up. I'm powerful. I am amazing. Hold up. I can do that. Like, who told me I couldn't? Hold up. So,
Exactly. And you know, the interesting thing for me is talking to someone like you. It's a grand experiment, and there are somebody is. I guarantee you, somebody's listening to this show and they're listening to it either today on YouTube or on the Brushwood Media Network when we post that, or down the road, they're going to hear it. And it's going to be at that moment in their life when they need to hear that message. It's not my job to determine when that is or how that takes place, but I know that that will happen and it will have an impact. And the conversation that you and I are having will have an impact in their life so that they may go out and reach out to learn about it for themselves, because nobody else can teach them. It has to be even Napoleon Hill and or Tony Robbins and those guys. All they're doing is providing like uh, an appetizer. Like, you're going through a party and there's a guy holding a plate and it's got appetizers on it, and you're just picking it off a little bit. And in a hoity-toity cocktail party or something, that's all they're doing. And then it's up to you to go do the work. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's just about like all things like exist. And so it's about us tuning into the frequency or getting into alignment that we can receive that information. And so Tony Robbins, his voice, the way that he shares information, it's not new information. These are things that exist. He's able to put it into a form that when resonant from his voice, there's some people that then, oh, I can hear it from him. Like, oh wow, that made an impact for me coming from him, where somebody else will hear him say the exact same thing and be like, oh, child, please, like, I don't even want to hear him. He too tall, like whatever. So, and then somebody else, it may come from Oprah Winfrey saying the same exact thing, Wayne Dyer, saying the same exact thing. And so it's not that, and whether it comes from a scientific voice, if it comes from a religious voice, if it comes from an art form, these are all energetic truths that we are able to connect with and then take inside of our own vessel, our own tool, because it's really within us. It's just waking up what we already have access to and know and are remembering. So, yes, it's not that they're doing anything for us, but helping us to pull back layers of all of these agreements that we have made through our families, through society, through just conditioning of things that we were taught when we were really little that has stuck in our minds and our unconscious. You don't even know you believe this thing about yourself because it was so ingrained that you think it is you, but it's not. It's just a belief that can then be reprogrammed, retooled for you to remember who and what you really are. And everybody who is presenting this information, they are just lights coming to say, hey, can you see this light? Okay, if you can't see that one, no problem. Can you see this light? You see, oh, great. So you see this light. Fantastic. Use this to help light your way until you light up enough to be your own light and then be a light for others.
And that is so true. And that's why there are so many people. I've had really good luck in my career. I've interviewed some. Unfortunately, I missed Wayne Dyer before he passed, but I was able to interview Neil Donald Walsh several times. We wrote Conversations with God. Gary Zukov,
Okay.
who was on Oprah Winfrey 35 times,
Wow.
and which is the most of anybody ever. And he wrote Seed of the Soul and Greg Braden.
Journey, Destiny of Souls.
Journey, that's well, the story behind that for me was, and I encourage anybody to do this. I was in my spiritual search because I didn't really know why I was here, and I wanted to find out there had to be more. There has to be more than what I've been told. So somebody needs to tell me, or I'm going to go search. So I went in search, and my friend said, "I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore,
Mm.
and I want you to buy the first book that speaks to you."
Ooh.
And I said, "Speaks to me?" And he said, "Yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about when it happens." So I go to the store and right there, I walked in, right there was Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, which is about life after life, or life after death, life between
And
lives,
life
what we do,
between lives. Ooh.
what we do, why we're there, why we do what we do when we're there so we can come here, why we come here as part of what is that, and all of that kind of stuff. And I learned that was the first thing. So I encourage anybody to go to the metaphysical book section of your local library or whatever it is, and to find the book that first speaks to you. And then you begin to learn some of these things and some of these concepts but there are people, Havilah, there are people all over the planet that are saying the same things, and they're not communicating with one another. You're not in this big co-op of people that say, this is what we're going to preach, and this is what we believe, because this is how we've written it down, and this is how it is. It is all coming from people's hearts. It is an amazing process to watch.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first moved out here to Los Angeles, because I came, of course, from the South, from Louisiana, and and came from a very like specific belief system and religious background, and even the community that is there, is just kind of like a one way thinking situation.
In the
And
South, it's unique to that. Yeah.
Yes. And so coming out to California, like I felt like I came into like a spiritual candy land. I was like, wait, there's some of everything everywhere. And now I feel like I have this ability to just explore, like just freely explore. And so I studied Kabbalah, I studied Buddhism, I studied theosophy. I mean, just everything. And what I kept finding was, as you chunk up, you look at the bigger picture of a lot of these belief systems, all of them really, they're really saying the same thing at the heart of it. But one of the things that was a concept or a philosophy within theosophy was that as soon as you're able to quantify, explain, codify something, a belief system, a thing, then it's time to let it go, because it's no longer what it really was anyways. Because once we've put it into words, words are a very limited form of communication of greater things. But to be able to communicate with each other, we have found this code of the English language or the French language or whatever, because there's some languages that don't even have some of the words from other languages, like they don't even exist, so it's like, yep, you're missing pieces of information that cannot be expressed through this form. So once I have put it into this box of a form, it's no longer the totality of what it actually was. And so you get it to that form, and then you have to release and let it go. And that was such a profound thought for me, and also a super scary thought, because it was like, well, a part of this human experience, we like to solidify something. Like I want to be able to hold on to and know, like, this is it. This is the truth. It's kind of like, if I have to, come to an understanding and then release it, whew, okay, then what's real? Like what is, like, how do I then define that? And so to be in that space and to realize that, yes, everything is ever changing. Some things will never be able to be fully explained through the written or spoken word, but things have to be experienced, felt, expressed in other forms of communication in other ways. And that is still truth. That is still real, even if we can't like put it in a book or put it into a pill.
But we don't recognize how limiting the English language is versus the emotions and the intuition that we can feel. We're talking with Havilah Malone, and we need to take a station break. I'm enjoying the heck out of this conversation. I hope you are too. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. You know, I'm sorry.
I love
Sometimes,
these voices. Like, I love these voices.
sometimes it just shows up. You know what I mean? It's like we're talking with Havilah Malone. She is an extraordinary woman. She is done, and we haven't even talked about all the things that you do yet, because we've been so, and I'm so enamored with the concepts of you growing up and what you were feeling, and how it has developed for you over time. But it has ended up with you forming and being part of several communities and businesses and things that you do that are all designed to help people. And congratulations, you're an amazing soul, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm definitely in a place in my life now where I get to just like like the Oprah saying, live your best life. Like literally, we get to craft the life of our dreams. We are powerful creators. And once we really grasp that no matter what the appearances are, and whatever's happening now is just the past thoughts manifesting, the past belief systems showing up into physical reality. But I can choose in this moment to have a new thought, to have a new belief system. And if I hold on to that frequency, that thought, that picture, forming a powerful picture in our minds of what it is that we want and holding on to that, then that will show up. It is the law. It must show up in our lives. And so to be able to be in that space of like, it don't matter what this looks like. Let me just stay in this space. Because even in the Bible, it says it's done unto you as you have believed. Scientifically, there's explanations for it. Metaphysically, there are explanations for it. Theologianly, it's not even a word, explanations for it. So it's just kind of like when you really realize how powerful you are, the keys that you hold to your experience in life, the game changes, like life changes. And even when stuff shows up, because like that doesn't mean I don't have aggravating experiences. That doesn't mean I don't have like people that show up and then I always like turn it back around. I'm like, okay, this situation is showing up, or this person is showing up. What is this mirror trying to show me? Because it's a mirror. What is this mirror trying to show me? What is it that I need to clean up inside of me so that this picture goes away? What is the lesson I need to learn? Because it's a law of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. So this is an internal condition that is showing itself in an external form for me to be able to address. So I'm just like, or sometimes it's even a test of, okay, you say you patient.
Oh no. Be careful what you wish for, because that's you gonna get tested. I'm telling you what.
Oh my God. And so like as far as like things that I've been able to experience and manifest in my life. Like I just recently, we're in May. Yeah. It's like earlier this month, I went out to New York because I was featured on a billboard in Times Square. And I went back. I joined Facebook in 2010. And when I joined, I finally like stopped fighting the like Facebook revolution, the whole online world thing, and finally joined. And when I set up my account, there was this like app that you could use to like create like little mini vision boards. And on one of the vision boards, like you could put your picture into like all of these scenarios. And one of the scenarios, I put my picture into a billboard in Times Square, right across from the red steps. And it was a double-sided billboard. So my photo is on this side and on this side, right across from the steps. So fast forward from 2010 to 2024, May of this year, I am in Times Square across from the red steps as my photo is on 2 billboards. And I was just like, you can't even make this stuff up. Like, we are so powerful. And I go back into that same folder because I was like, oh, what else did I have in here? I had a photo that I had put myself into a museum exhibit. Well, I backtrack in my mind. Well, in 2018, I had a museum exhibit. I was like, wait, like I've manifested a lot of these things. I mean, I can remember times of like walking along the lake in Louisiana, and I would do like walking meditations. Because as far as like just sitting down, being in Zen, like I can meditate in that way. I usually will do a Silva meditation so that it's going into alpha state, so that I'm using that meditative space to actually create things, or to like for healing properties, or to go in to speak with, because I've created basically a laboratory within my own mind, almost like within Think and Grow Rich, when he talked about his invisible counsel. So creating a laboratory within your own mind where you can call upon different teachers and people that you want to get information from or have like that communion with. And so I'll use the Silva method to go to that space to be able to get counsel about certain things. And so that's the sitting meditations that I do. But most of my meditations are movement. So walking, especially along by water, or when it's a beautiful sunny day, because in that movement, as energy is flowing, thoughts are like coming through. And that's when I would lock into the things that I wanted for my life, and just like allowing things to be worked through and figured out. And so it's like getting clarity about what I really wanted. And this is what I want to say. For most people, they don't know what they actually want. People are very clear about what they don't want, and therefore stay focused. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want bills. I don't want this bad relationship. I don't want. And so that's what you're giving energy and focus to. And that's what keeps showing up in your experience. If we just made the shift to what do you want, and sometimes that takes more work to get the clarity of what do I want, not what did my parents want from me, what did my teachers want from me, what does my boss want from me, what do my friends want from me, what do I want from me, giving myself permission past my limiting belief, past my current circumstances of could I actually, like, I want to write a book. Ooh, I have a book inside of me. Hold up. Do I even have permission to give myself to write a book? I mean, I don't even really write that well. And like, who would even care about what I say? We go through all of this, getting clear about what we want, and then giving space and energy and focus to that. It will show up. Somebody who's written a book may come up into your experience, and they start telling you about how they went about writing their book. And in the 15 minutes they took out a day to be able to sit down and write, they didn't have 9 hours to sit there and write it all out. And so breaking things down into smaller steps allows us to then bring those things into the physical reality. So I would say the most important and powerful thing to start with, and that has been so impactful for my journey, is the clarity of what do you want.
And sometimes we don't believe that we are good enough to have what we want, because people have told us you're too fat, you're too short, you're too this, you're too that, you're too gay, you can't have that. And so we believe it, and we build stories around it. We need to deconstruct those stories and rebuild new stories about why we can, why we deserve it. We are, and everybody is equal here, and we're all incredible creators. And I know that you believe that, and you know it as well. I have a real quick writing story for you. Can I tell this real quick?
Yes.
There's a gal by the name of Sonia Pollock. She is a orthodontist by trade, but she always wanted to write a book. And so one day at 4 o'clock in the morning, she's sleeping. She hears this voice, start writing now.
Mm.
She wakes up. She could swear that there was somebody in the room talking to her. And so she gets up, puts her robe on, goes, looks around the house, and there's nobody there. Next call, she texts her therapist. It's 4:10 in the morning. And she goes, I think I need medication because I think I'm schizophrenic because I just heard voices. And she must have a great relationship with the therapist because the therapist texts back. She said, have you started writing?
Mm.
And so she took a candle and she took one of her journals that was empty. She bought a bunch and it was empty. She started writing at 5 o'clock, and she wrote from 4 till 5, and then she stopped writing because the information stopped flowing. And so she looked at what she'd written, and it was the part of the first chapter of the 4 books that she wrote, because every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, she would wake up. Whether she was tired or not, she would wake up and she would start writing. She wrote from 4 to 5 every day for 18 months to develop this book of over 10,000 pages that turned into a 4-book story of this person's life. And that is how it can happen. It happens for most creative people, is that they get a message, but they don't poo-poo it. Now, a lot of people go, I'm not gonna, no, that wasn't right. I'm not gonna do that. And so they miss the opportunity. And so it really is important to understand that and to follow through with it. And so it's like, did you start writing yet? And I know you have, because you have a #1 bestseller.
My God, yes, I have 3 #1 bestsellers. and that, first of all, thank you for sharing that story. Like, I literally had chill bumps as you were telling, like, and that's the thing, is like, we get messages, we get these intuitive hits. And I find that, like, when I don't follow my intuition, I pay for it. Oh yes, I pay for it.
Have you ever been leaving your house and you're just going to go to the store, it's just down the street and stuff, and you get a message in your head, don't forget your cell phone. And then you say, oh, it's just down the street, and you forget, and you leave and you don't have your cell phone, and something happens that you need your cell phone. And that happens all the time. So rather than, if you get a message like that, go get your damn phone.
Yes.
You
Oh my
may
God.
need it.
I was leaving my house to go to this event. There's a talent manager who puts on these writer events. So she brings in different types of writers, whether they be novelists or writers on shows, like executive producers. So different types of writers, and to like inspire people for their like writing journey, and like, kind of like let them outline and share their journey. And I remember I was running like a little behind. And so I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. So I'm like grabbing my stuff, and I go out the door, and I get a strong like message that comes through, and it was like, grab your book. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, first of all, like, I'm already running late, and why would I need my book? Like, I'm going to this event about like this other book. Like, so I almost, and I'm taking steps, and it came through again. It was like, grab your book. So I was just like, okay, you know what? I turn around, I go back in, I grab a copy of my book, like put it into my purse or whatever. I head out. I get to the event. Oh, it was so inspiring. It was beautiful. We go through this entire event. It's at the end where everybody's like doing a meet and greet. I meet the author, Ashley Coleman, of her book, and we're talking. And then who comes into the room Yvonne Orji. So she is one of the, or was one of the leads on the HBO show Insecure. Has done like a lot of TV and film, but also just got a big deal with Sony, like a 5-picture deal with Sony. And so we're in this circle, they're having this conversation, and she's talking about how she has been working with artists and authors because they're trying to get IP to be able to then adapt for film and for these projects for Sony. And so she was sharing some examples of some of the like works that they were bringing in. And so the person who was putting on the event, the talent manager Davida, she was like, oh, well, what kind of stories or other stories are you looking for? Types of books are you looking for? And so she starts like sharing what she was looking for. And then she was like, well, what about, she literally turns to me and she was like, well, what about, and then she like pitches the story from my book. And she was like, yeah, I would love something like that. And she was like, well, actually, we have the author right here. And so I started sharing with her, you know, having this conversation. She was like, wow, she's like, I really need to get a copy of your book. And I was like, actually, in fact,
It's right here. Ta-da!
I pull out this book and she's like, oh, wow. And I'm just like, even if nothing like comes of that, like, I don't even care. It was just like, you got an intuitive nudge to do something. And look at how this orchestrated, because this man had nothing to do with you, nothing to do with my book. However, I got a clear message on an action to take. I followed that. I was obedient to that. And then the opportunity presented itself that aligned with the obedience to the action. And it was just like, wow, all you have to do is listen. We're always being spoken to. We're always being instructed and moved forward. Like in Hawaiian wisdom, they believe that your internal guidance system, your gut, is actually more important than your intellectual mind, the knowledge mind, because
Totally.
that is tapped in to infinite, to universal intelligence. There's more information coming in than what you could have read in a book or got in school or got through experiences, your own personal experiences in life. And so it's like when we honor that second brain, when we honor that gut instinct of doing something, like don't go down that street, take that left, don't do that, or pick up the phone and make that phone call. Like this person like pops into your mind, you need to reach out to them, or her getting the message of wake up right now and write, like right now.
Exactly.
It's amazing. And we all have access to it. Are we listening?
And I would even take it one step further. And that is, if you are thinking that you need for it to come to you, don't wait. You have got guides, you have got angels, you've got the universe on your side, but they're not allowed to act until you give them permission. And so if you give them permission to act, I do this all the time. It's like, okay, guys, I have no earthly idea what I'm going to do next. So it's your job to figure that out. And then you tell me what you want me to do next, and I'll do what you tell me to do. And then they're on the other side going, finally, we're finally going to be able to do. And so then they begin the planning process, and it's a 50,000-foot view. They know where I'm going. I have no earthly idea. And then, but I trust to take the steps forward and to go step by step until I get there, or they put me back on my path. They keep me going in the direction that I keep saying that I want to go. It's just like, oh, you got me going. It's just like the gospel according to Paul McCartney. In 1965, he was lying in bed and he woke up and this song was in his head. He went over to his piano and he took the chords down, and then he went to see John, and he said, John, I know this song from somewhere, but I don't know where. And he played it for him, and John said, no, mate, never heard that song before. And he went to his producer, and he didn't know it either. He went to several other people over the next week and a half. Nobody had heard that song before. And he woke up with it in his head. That song was yesterday.
Wow.
and that song has been copied by over 3,000 artists and is one of the greatest songs of all time. And it came to him in a dream because of his intuition. And instead of not acting on it, he acted on it right away. And so that dream became reality. And because and people have heard me say that story before, but it's my favorite story of a guy. And this isn't Paul is not a particularly spiritual guy, but it was just one of those things that just kind of popped up for him. But that happens to us all. And the more you're in tune to it, like you are, the more often it happens, and the bigger the dynamic is. Like a billboard in New York City. Are you kidding me?
Just like, oh my God. And then too, so I had, so I live in Hollywood, and I'm often, passing the TCL Chinese Theater, the very famous theater where a lot of, big Hollywood premieres happen. And I remember being on the Strip when like the Black Panther premiere happened, and like attending some of the other premieres that have happened, right here in the Strip, and seeing for myself and even declaring for myself, I'm going to be on the red carpet for a premiere for a project that I am in at TCL Theater. I will be walking through those doors as a part of something that I am also, a part of that production. And tomorrow is the world premiere of a documentary film that I am in that is premiering at the TCL Chinese Theater right here in Hollywood. And it's just kind of like, man, I've literally gotten to the point, I think I even shared this earlier. It's like, okay, what else do you want? Like, what else are we, calling into this experience? Because all of it is available. And it's definitely been a stair step of increasing belief. It's been a stair step of, okay, wow, so this thing happened, but then what if that was just a fluke? What was that? What if that's just like some one-off thing that like will never happen again? And then more things continue to happen that are in alignment. And it's like, wait, hold up. There's something very firm about this. There's something very reliable about these laws that are in existence, and they work either way for our good or not so much for our good.
They don't care. It's not, and it's not that they don't care, but it's part of the law.
They're impartial. Like it's an impartial way to operate of you put forth this as your, it's literally like, I love the analogy of the universe being this, the dark matter of this universe literally being like Aladdin's lamp. It being a space for you to put out an intention, put out a goal, a dream into this dark matter that has no form, and you being able to impress upon it a thought, impress upon it a intention that will then materialize through people, through resources, through opportunities, in physical form and physical reality, so that you have the thing that you ask for, and sometimes even better than what you ask for. So, and if whatever you're giving your attention to, and if it is something that you don't want, guess what? It will take that impression as well. It was like, okay, you don't want bills? Okay, bills. Great. Bills, great.
Exactly. And thoughts become things. We've been talking with Havilah Malone, and we haven't even got into half of what we wanted to talk about today. So you're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to do this more, because you are delightful. I got to tell you, you are just, your energy is high. You are just a delightful individual. And will you come back and do this again?
Yes, indeed. I would love to. This has been so much fun. Like, yes.
Well, and the fun part is that I interviewed a guy 3 weeks ago. His name is Brad, and he sent me, he liked the app, the energy of the interview. We had a really good time, and he has taken it upon himself to send me like 10 of the most incredible women I've ever had the opportunity to work with and to interview, and he gets nothing for any of that. He's just a great dude and he's coming on the show on the 7th, and
Yeah.
he's just a great guy, and we're going to work together because our missions are aligned. And we're going to do so much more.
Oh
And
my God, Brad is an absolute angel. I mean, a literal angel walking on this earth. Someone who is so pure-hearted, going through their own life's journey, and yet still being such a brilliant light and shining the light and bringing others along with him for that journey. Like I cannot sing his praises enough. And I'm so grateful that because he was the one who connected us and even, laid the groundwork for this opportunity to present itself. So Brad, if you're out there, I'm sure you are listening. Thank you. We love you so, so much.
Now we have to go, and I've gone over time already, but I want to get your information out so if somebody wants to contact you, they can. How do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me via email at ask@havilahmalone.com. That's HAVILAHMALONE, or on social media. So IG, Facebook @Havilah Malone. So yeah, reach out. I would love it.
Thank you so much, and you're going to come back because we've got so much more to talk about.
We do. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's been absolutely my ultimate pleasure. And we'll be back for the next episode of Positive Talk on the Brushwood Media Network. Thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.